Hey everyone, welcome to episode 13. Today's episode is with someone who, very much like their last guest, has defied many of the odds. And with hard work and a vision, they have jumped through many of the barriers to make a great business in the UK. Tony Kitous came to the UK in 1988 and worked like crazy for years just to save up enough money to get his own restaurant. He is now involved with nearly 37 restaurants, including Levant, Kenza, and the casual dining group Comptoir Libanais, of which he founded. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any friends that are in the industry, be sure to share this with them because I think it'll be right up their street. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy. Tony Kitous, second time lucky for you. Yeah, so thank you for your time. And I say this to everybody, thank you for your time, because I know how busy you are. However, I'm quite lucky because I've taken your time up twice. So after our last attempt and our broken microphones, I thought we'll just do it all over again. And you're so gracious. So, and I think maybe you just wanted to see me again. Yeah.
Stereos, I think you got it right. Enjoyed so much the last one. So I thought, for me, it's a chat with a mate.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. That's how it sounded.
Well, and that's the idea of this podcast. That it's just two people just having a chat, no stress, no drama. That's it, just nice and easy.
It's storytelling.
Exactly, and everyone loves stories, don't they? Even when people used to sit around the campfires, this is the modern way. So,
to be honest, for me, there's an element of something. When I do a lot of podcast interviews, and the reason I do that is very much to help share my story. Mm-hmm. And if there is an element of inspiration, and I want people to get inspired. I do get a lot of people on social media, questions, wanting to meet. Mm-hmm. I try to do as much as I can, but sometimes it's hard to meet everybody, but I always answer them to get inspired. That sometimes on a podcast like yours or on interviews or anything to do with TV is to, if I can reach as many people as possible, of course for me is to, I like to preach and I like to spread the love of Lebanese cuisine and the flavors, Lebanese cuisine and the hospitality and the culture.
Well, the good thing about you, when I was doing my research and looking at you on YouTube and listening to all the podcasts and reading about you don't tell people what to do. You're just saying, this is what I did, this is my story, and you want to inspire people through your journey, and I think that's great. So.
It's very difficult to tell people what to do if you don't understand their own situation. If you really want to tell people what to do, you have to be working with them so closely. And it's not about telling them what to do. It's about advising them exactly what to do within a context.
Mentoring.
Yeah, but for me, I share my story. If you just meet someone, or people are, I give advice. I give them. It's not necessarily. I share my story, and I tell them what I've been through, good or bad. Mm-hmm. The bad is also good, because the bad is mistakes, and mistakes, that's what we learn from. Mistakes make us stronger. So for me, it's about inspiring and telling people. And this, to be honest, different people have their ways of giving advice, and my way is about sharing my own experience and telling them how my own experience worked on me.
Yeah, that's the best way. So let's start at the beginning of your journey. And you were brought up in, let me see if I can say this right, Tizi Ouzou.
Tizi Ouzou.
Tizi Ouzou in Algeria.
Correct.
So give us a little bit of background information. What was that like?
Look, it's I have goosebumps thinking about that. I was born in Tizi Ouzou. I was the eldest of a family of 7. I had the most amazing childhood. This is where I learned a lot, almost everything, to be honest. We lived in a tiny apartment, 3 bedrooms. It was like 10 of us, my brothers and sister, my mom and dad, and my grandma. And it was beautiful. And, it's a very small town, humble. And as a young kid, I did everything, to be honest. And because I was brought up in a very humble family, we're not poor.
Yeah.
We weren't poor, but we had enough food to eat.
So working class, as we say.
It's working class. We had enough food to eat. And I had some clothes on me. But I always as a kid, wanted to be a little bit more independent. If I want to get some pocket money, which I never had, or maybe once. My dad decided to wake up and give us some pocket money, then never again. I had an amazing dad, adorable dad. But I always wanted to go out and make some money for me, doing various things.
So you're pretty independent like that?
I think it wasn't a choice, to be honest. It was not as if my dad was super comfortable, wealthy, and it happened because out of necessity.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to live across the road from a football stadium. And my team at the time, and a lot of people laugh at when I say it, it was the equivalent of Man United.
Okay.
A few years ago, of course. Whenever they play, it's a sellout.
Yeah.
So therefore, whenever my team called GSK plays, it's a total sellout.
Yeah.
So initially, 1 minute across the road. So I wake up early, 7 in the morning. I buy 20, 30, 40, sometimes 100 ticket, depends on how big is the game. And I just, by late morning, I sell them out for profit.
Right.
And then once I finish, I sell all my tickets. My mom has always been my accomplice. She used to help me go back home. The sandwich is ready. I go and sell sandwiches and lemonade out on the pavement on the street. And that's my childhood. And of course, I did other things as well.
It's very a hot country, I take it, isn't it? So very Mediterranean weather.
It's Mediterranean weather, but not hot. Obviously, in the winter, it's winter.
Yeah.
So it's mild, not strong. In the summer, it's summer. In the spring, it's spring. In autumn, it's autumn. So it had actually 4 seasons. It's not like, talking about Dubai or
it's not
Sahara.
No extremes.
Yeah, it's not extremes.
No. And then when you was, 18 or whatever, you finished school?
Well, I didn't finish school.
Oh, you did?
I was supposed to be going to university.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so you never went to university because you came to the UK?
I came to London.
Yes, you came to the UK.
That's my university.
So University of Life. Yeah. So what was your... so you came in 1988 on holiday, and I'm doing the quotations because it wasn't really a holiday. So give us a little bit of information. You initially came on holiday.
I came on holiday in 1988, 6th of August. 30 years later, I feel I'm still on holiday.
Yeah.
Because I do a job that I love, and it's it doesn't feel like work. I think the reason for that, I came with a friend of mine. It's a pure adventure, teenager with very little money, never dreamt in my life of coming to London to stay. So we came on holiday just for, we didn't even know how long we were going to stay. We had £70 in my pocket. I had personally £70 in my pocket. Didn't know where to stay, how long, what to do, nothing, just pure adventure.
So
I remember.
growing up, sorry to cut in. So growing up in Algeria, it was never, when I grow up, I want to leave. It was never like that.
It was never crossed my mind. Wow. Never. Of course, as a teenager, I will always imagine my life, the future. But within that future, it never been in my mind outside Algeria. You know, I was always wondering what I would be doing, but I was always in Algeria. So when I came here, as I said, because I didn't have so much money, only £70 in my pockets, I had to make sure my £70 lasts as long as possible.
Yeah.
I stayed in first night in Victoria Station. The following night, we find out one of our friends back home in Algeria, who was had the brother in London, and he invited us to stay with him. And it turned up to be, he was squatting, so we were squatting for 3 months. And that's first 3 months I started. You know, I was living on chocolate that they were given free on the first day I arrived.
Oh, that's weird,
you know, they were giving free chocolates in Victoria Station. I took as much as possible with me. So I lived with them for like a few weeks. And then eventually, you know, living on doner kebab.
So it was a bit of a working holiday.
Yes, if you see it that way. But for me, it was a holiday.
Yeah.
It was something completely different. And I was getting such a big kick out of it.
And then what made you... So did you realise that you wanted to stay before you left, or actually just when you got back to Algeria?
Actually, it was just towards the end of when we thought it's time for us to go back. Then I realised, I think there is something in here.
Yeah.
I'm in love with London. There's something that I don't want to go back. And that was, at that time, I felt.
See, you said this last time as well, and it made me think because you say you fell in love with London, but you didn't really see much of London because you worked so much. But
no, when I say London,
was it the opportunity?
I fell in love with my environment.
Yeah, the environment.
Yes, I didn't see. Of course, I didn't see anything. But at the time, I felt personally, if I have to describe it, it was like the moment I was here. Of course, I was doing the jobs I was doing. I was cleaning bathrooms. I was putting newspapers on the lorries. I was washing up the floors of restaurants. I wasn't doing any glamorous jobs.
Jobs that generally no one wanted to do.
That's the kind of jobs. But I think what gave me, it was, I think, the sense of the independence. The moment you have a job, you don't feel any different than anyone else.
Yeah.
You can, you make money and you just work. And I think I loved the sense of independence. I was on my own. Yeah. I was making my decisions. I think that what made me like London.
And how was the family when you told them that you wanted to come and live in the UK?
I think it was big drama. It was the biggest drama ever. My mother, calling her, crying on the phone, emotional blackmail. You're the oldest in the family. You're the example for your kids. You're supposed to go to university. So to be honest, I needed the blessing of my mother, my parents, my dad as well. But I went back. I went back to Algeria because I thought, I listened to my mom.
Respect their wishes.
The respect. Where I come from, in Algeria, and family is very important in our culture. I went back. And I remember so well, I arrived one night back home. It was nice to see everybody. The next morning, the first thing I did, I went to university for my first day. I promise you, Stelios, I promise, half an hour, 30 minutes. I walked in, I was listening, I was watching around, I was looking around everybody. I walked out of university. I went to the campus, the garden, walking around, and then I went home. I told my mom and dad, I want to go back to London.
What course was it? Not like it matters because you already made your mind up.
No, I was going to do engineering, but you know what? At the time, that's what I studied for.
Yeah.
Looking back, I can't imagine myself becoming an engineer, but that's what I did. Half an hour. I thought my heart and my soul was still back in London.
Yeah.
So I went back home. Of course, my mother was so disappointed. So was my dad. They tried to send me every single person in my hometown in Tizuzu to make me change my mind. My cousins, my neighbors, my friends, my schoolmates, my uncles and aunts, both my grandmas, everybody. I think eventually they realized
It wasn't going to happen.
my mind was made up, and I told them that I didn't go to university. Because my dad thought if he keeps me dragging for a few days, because I couldn't travel without his blessing for me, but also a certain paperwork, because at the time when you were younger, you need a permission.
Okay.
Because I was 18. And in Algeria you need to be 21 to be an adult.
Okay.
So I think the moment I told them that, if you think you tell me tomorrow, so I can forget about London. Said, look, I haven't been to university. I think that's at that time that my dad realized that my decision was made. And as soon as my dad gave me that permission, I got also their blessings.
Yeah.
And I left.
And what was that like? Like, what was that journey like? You've left. You've got to make it in the world now. You've come into London. Well, I'm guessing you knew you was coming to London. What were you thinking? Like, what was your goal?
At the time, all I wanted is my dad to give me that piece of paper to travel document, and my mother, or both parents to give me their blessings. That's all I wanted, and that's all I was thinking about.
I'm thinking more so.
That's all I was thinking about, but I was just excited to be back in London.
Yeah.
But I think there was the breaking point for me, or I wouldn't call it breaking, is as soon as I landed in Heathrow, and as soon as I came out of the passport control, I remember so well I was carrying my suitcase, my trolley with my suitcase, and I was thinking, wow, now you are completely on your own. In 4 or 5 years' time, all your friends would come out of university with their degrees and diplomas, all their future was sorted. And what about me? In 4 or 5 years' time, I don't want to end up carry on being a kitchen porter or a cleaner. Or I wanted to do better. I gave myself 4 or 5 years. I said, I need to do something with it. And I think this is the breaking point. So within 4 or 5 years, when my friends come out of university with a degree and diplomas, I want to, in 4 or 5 years, start my own business. I think that changed the whole journey for me.
Yeah.
That was my big point. I will never forget. I still have that picture in my head, carrying that trolley, thinking, in 4 or 5 years, I have to open my own restaurant, or I have to open my own business or restaurant. I wasn't sure it was going to be a restaurant. And I think from that moment, it felt like the rest was history.
Yeah.
All I was doing is getting 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 80, 90 hours a week, just work hard. All I was asking is for whatever I was working, give me more shifts, more shifts. And I used to go to all my people that work with me, says, if you want to take a day off, let me know, I'll cover you. I remember at one stage it took almost 2 years without a day off, 7 days a week. And I was loving it. I was enjoying every moment of it. You know what? Probably at the time was a little bit hard, but it didn't feel hard for me because I had a goal. I have a very, very clear goal. And I felt every day I was getting closer to the goal.
So for you, it was literally work hard, save hard, and one day the opportunity is going to come. And then one day your opportunity did come. And give us a little bit of backstory about how that came.
Yeah, of course. I think there's a lot of hard work, destiny. And I remember once someone told me, in life, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Okay.
The more, the harder you work, the opportunity will come. Maybe it's not on the first occasion, maybe on the second or the third. So basically, I was working in the different places. And I remember so well, I was working in this place in Wigmore Street. That is, in Wigmore Street. I was working there for a few months, and one day I came to work, and the door was closed with a notice. The landlord has repossessed the property because the rent wasn't paid. Thought, okay, I'm sure tomorrow will be fixed. Went back the next day, still the same notice. Second day, third day. After a few days, I said, you know what? Let me have a go. Speak to the landlord. And I did. I did just that. I called them up. I said, I'm interested to rent a restaurant. He gave me an appointment, I think, a couple of days later. I bought a suit, I bought a tie, I bought a shirt, I bought a briefcase, and I went to meet my landlord. I remember so well. I never had a suit before. I didn't know how to fix a tie. I had to go to a shop next door in St. Christopher's Place.
Yeah.
I pretended I injured my hand and said, "Can you please help me do my tie?" Because I was embarrassed to tell them I don't know how to do a tie. And this is, again, another day that I remember in my life. So I walked in there. Of course, I can see it in his mind. He said, "This guy looks so young." I was 22 years old.
Yeah.
And he was talking. And I remember he was waiting to ask the question, how about
money?
Where the money is. I was lucky. In my briefcase, I only had two things. A notepad that I used to work with, I used to take orders with.
Yeah.
And to take notes, and my bank statement. And I think the moment I showed him the bank statement, and he just looked back, I said, I had almost 3 years worth of rent, more than 3 years worth of rent.
So you're ready for it?
I was ready for it, and just gave it to me, and straight away, they said to me, here's the contract, give it to your lawyer, and he's our lawyer, and let them get in touch. And I remember so well, the same day I went to my lawyers, and I found a lawyer, and I went to see him. I gave him the lease. He said to me, "Leave it with me. I will go through it, and I'll call you tomorrow." I remember so well. All I was doing is waiting for my lawyer's call, and as soon as he called me, he said to me, "Like, Tony, I went through the lease. There's a problem. It's actually not a lease; it's a license, and it's a 5-year license. And within 6 months, the landlord can give you notice, and you leave." And said to me, "I will not recommend it for you." I was like, wow. At that time, I was already in my mind. I was emotionally involved. I was going to do it. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to call someone, a friend of the family that I probably saw once before, but is much older, and asked him for an advice. I said, look, I called him. I said, I need an advice. He said to me, what's wrong? I said to him, look, I found a restaurant in London. My problem told me this. It's a license. It's a short lease. It's a 5-year lease, and the landlord can give you a 6 months notice, and you leave and you lose everything. And then I remember someone said to me, "What do you do now?" I said, "I'm not doing anything." Cause, I said, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 22." He said, "What do you have to lose?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "There you are. You have nothing to lose. Go for it." And I think that's all I needed. I needed someone to tell me that.
Yeah.
And I went for it. And the rest is history to me. That was my first restaurant.
And how long did it take you to get all in, get all up to standard and everything? Or was it just literally open the door?
No, to be honest, it was an existing restaurant. So I did very, very little. Everything was, I still even had some stock.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
In the freezer and in the cellar. So it wasn't a big thing at the time. I was very lucky that it was just a matter of paying rent. That's all the landlord wanted. Yeah. Pay rent, give me my deposit, and that's it.
And the landlord wasn't being he wasn't trying to do you over. He was literally just protecting himself because he didn't get paid from before, I'm guessing.
No, I think I thought the landlord was. I'm still in that restaurant, by the way.
Well, exactly.
After 25 years.
Yeah.
I had super good relationship. It's called the guys. He owns the hotel, Mandeville Hotel, in Wigmore Street. We're in the basement. Mr. Batessa is an amazing guy, and I think not only I'm happy, he's also so happy and proud. Just to see me. I started with one restaurant, and he gave me the first break.
Yeah,
and he saw me grow all those years. It wasn't actually tough. All he asked, he gave it to me straight away. He gave me, 3 months rent free to do it up, and he asked me for 6 months deposit. Of course, he was burnt out, and at that time it was normal, which I had the deposit back because he saw me. I was very, I always paid the rent on time. So and I think I'll never forget the first break they gave me.
So what type of restaurant was it in the early days when you took over? What did you take over?
To be honest, at the time it was like, I didn't know what I was doing, if I have to be extremely honest. It was a piano bar with a lot of cushions. It's like almost like someone's living room.
Yeah.
And it was serving modern British food. But they had everything there. Everything was there. All I did, I changed the name.
Yeah.
I changed the sign. And some bits and pieces, a little bit of painting left, right, and center. Otherwise, I carried on exactly. I made sure my money lasted. I made sure I didn't want to lose all of it. I had to buy a bit of equipment.
And how long did it take you to then not want to do that anymore and move over to sort of Lebanese food?
Oh, well, probably 6 years.
Okay.
I did that at the time. It wasn't enough. I remember it was modern European restaurants. I always used to look at other newspapers, see everybody getting reviews except us. So I refurbished it. I refurbished it. I went I met a chef, a Michelin star chef, an amazing chef called Gary Holyhead. At the time was much bigger than Gordon Ramsay in around 96. And he joined us. He just, in his previous job, a few months earlier, had his Michelin star. But I didn't want to work on have Michelin star restaurant. I wanted more of something casual, laid back, brasserie style. And he was super amazing. The guy was super hard worker. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Between us, completely different personalities. Chefs that are very, very passionate. Unfortunately, came with hot blood. Yeah. Between both sides, we were both young. I was 25 at the time, and that didn't last. Lasted about less than that, about a few weeks, 6 weeks. We fell out, and I got another chef. I carried on again, modern European. But then after a few years, I realized, you know what? I am young. I'm hungry. I'm very ambitious. I want to do more. And I said, why don't I do something that I know best? Yeah. Something that I love doing. Then eventually, I thought of Lebanese food. Lebanese food, I love eating Lebanese food. And it's different to what the food I was brought up in Algeria. The food was different to Lebanese food. However, the food was different, but the ingredients were the same. Yeah. We used the mint, the olive oil, the rose water, the orange blossom, the pomegranates, and also the hospitality. The hospitality is the same wherever you go. In the Middle East or North Africa, it's exactly the same. Yeah. It's about family, it's about welcoming, it's about being generous, it's about looking after your guests. It's about looking abundance. In fact, anywhere in North Africa, the Middle East is land of hospitality. You will never walk away from it hungry. So what I've done, I said, let me do that. Let me do Lebanese. And that's how really it started.
Oh, that's fantastic. And did you have to have a big refit when you turned it over? Or?
Yeah, it was a big refit. It was completely new design. It was a little bit minimalistic. Yeah. We're getting amazing reviews, but then it lacked a little bit of the authenticity that's from the people. So what I did, I changed the menu and I changed the design. I made it more like an experience when someone comes into the restaurant. They are as if they landed somewhere in Beirut, in Marrakesh, or in Cairo, or in Algiers, or that's the kind of thing I wanted to give.
And it sort of helps when you walk downstairs, 'cause I think it's setting the scene. It gets a little darker, and the colours, the warmer colours, start to hit you, don't
Look,
they?
for me, I have many things what I do now when I do restaurants. It's the experience. The food, it has to be like as if they are somewhere in the Middle East or North Africa. The design, the music, entertainment, the whole thing. For me, I feel I want when people walk into any of our restaurants, it's like they just landed somewhere in North Africa, Middle East, Lebanon, or whatever. It's an experience for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That is the idea. And I want them eventually through that, because food brings people together.
Yeah.
Through that, I get them closer to our culture, and hopefully one day gives them the appetite to go and visit Lebanon, Algeria, all the countries in the Middle East.
So when you first opened, obviously I'm sort of thinking, I'm guessing at that time most of the Lebanese or Middle Eastern restaurants were all in North London, sort of Edgware Road area. So what was it like getting the ingredients that you needed, or was it fairly easy?
It was at the time, I think it was, look, it wasn't as easy as it is now. But it wasn't like impossible. You still managed to get a few ingredients.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that part wasn't challenging. It's eventually was for me is the team.
Yeah.
Is bringing people together.
Of course.
Because wanted to get in Lebanese chefs or Syrian chefs was very hard at the time.
So when you mentioned earlier that, just very quickly before we carry on about the restaurants, how massively is it massively different, the food between Algeria and Lebanon? Is it very different?
Oh yeah, look, the ingredients we use, a lot of them are the same.
Yeah.
So we just need to make sure we understand that. But I mean, if I try to give you another example, it's a bit like Chinese and Japanese.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just same ingredients, just done differently. And then, so in 2000, you opened Levant. How was it? I heard you on another podcast, and you were saying about 9/11 just afterwards.
No, I mean, obviously, people said to me, "Did you find difficulties?" I said, in terms of promoting the food, and I remember once one of my friends said to me, I remember very well. The next day of 9/11, are you not worried about what's happening around with 9/11? You have a Lebanese restaurant. I said, look, I don't do politics.
Yeah, you just do food.
All I do is, it's food.
Yeah.
In fact, it's entertainment. It's fun. People come and enjoy. And it didn't even cross my mind. However, to be very honest, it probably be just a coincidence. And from that on, our business went up because when people were coming there, we don't do religion, we don't do politics. Our food bring people together from different cultures, different backgrounds, different faith. In fact, I love that. This is what life is all about: is bring the food. The food brings people closer and bring them together. And and I think for me, that didn't bother me at all because that was not. I was not an hardcore. Transcend a message political. It's not.
I think more than anything, you don't. From what I've gathered, I've met you twice now, and you don't seem to. You don't sort of sit back and say, "Oh, well, this happened. That's why this didn't work." You just keep pushing, and you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. You're not one of those guys that waits for excuses. You just go out there and do.
No, but look, waiting for excuses, you're wasting too much time doing that.
Yeah.
It's like you want to go somewhere. And you don't know the exact way. And if you just go randomly, even if you go the wrong way, you don't stay there. It says, oh, I can't go there because I found the wrong way. Yeah. You have to very quickly find another way to get there.
Yeah.
So for me, you just need to work until it works.
And you must have been doing all right because it wasn't that long. Because afterwards, you then you opened Levantine. You you bought out Pasha, which was from Caprice Holdings, and then you did Kenza as well. And this was all before what you've actually got today as well. So what did you learn doing those three sites, Because obviously you took one off the Caprice Holdings, which a lot of people would see that as risky, but you knew something, I'm guessing, that they didn't.
No, I remember very well when Richard Kerin bought took over Caprice Holdings, our agent, who for me I would call the godfather of the agents, Trevor Shelley, unfortunately is no longer with us. He was the best agent I ever worked with. He at the time, I told him we wanted to look at a restaurant, and he said to me, look, I think I have an idea. I said, what's the idea? I said, it's no point to tell you because it's not on the market. I said, well, I don't want to get you excited. So, well, just tell me anyway. And then he told me, look, what about Pasha on Gloucester Road? And then I turned around and says, Pasha? Why would they want to sell? He said, look, Richard Kenny just bought it. He wouldn't, he's interested in doing high, glamorous and fashionable and high-end restaurants. And I don't think he'd be interested in doing a Moroccan or Middle Eastern restaurants. You know what? I said, why not? Try it. And I think eventually after a few months of knocking on their doors, no, they gave us high price and they said to me, yeah, we want to buy it, but not just at any cost. Eventually, they gave in and sold it to us. And that's how we took it from Caprice Holdings. And I think, let's not make, no mistakes. Caprice Holdings have some of the amazing restaurants and the best operators in the UK.
Yeah.
But I think the advantage I had on them, I knew how to run a restaurant from my culture.
Yeah.
That I knew the food, I knew the culture, I knew the design, I knew the entertainment, I knew the music, and how to get the people to work with us. I think that's the advantage I have. I don't think, and of course, I don't know how to run a restaurant better than them. Not at all.
Of course not.
But it's because it was within our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And in fact, I made it more authentic and I enhanced the experience, the food, the menu, the decor. People feel like, and I remember very well, I think when we bought it, within 6 months, we took 3 times more than they did because at the time also I only had, it was my 3rd restaurant.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't venturing from Lebanese or Middle Eastern or North African into Chinese.
Yeah.
It was within my comfort zone. I knew exactly what I was doing.
So there's a lot to be said about sticking to what you know, isn't there, sometimes?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So, in 2009, probably before then.
2008.
Oh, so I did this last time as well.
Yeah.
So probably before 2008 anyway, you had an idea. And the idea was to bring Lebanese food to the masses. Not posh, not over the top. You wanted everyone at every level to enjoy Lebanese food. So tell us a little bit about what gave you the inspiration for Comptoir Lebanese.
Okay. In 2008, October 2008, we opened or November, I can't remember, in Westfield. But the idea was probably 10 years older. The idea has been going in my mind for 10 years before it was brewing.
Yeah.
And I remember when you walk in through through the high street, you see burger restaurants, pizza restaurants, Japanese restaurant, Indian. You see all kind of food on the high streets, and our food was not there. And I think that was an element of I was envying, and I also knew how really good our food is, and how simple it is. And if I put it in front of them, people will like it. See Italian, French, Japanese, all kind of cuisines are the high street, except Lebanese cuisine. And for me, it's a no-brainer. You know something is there, but it is something it's not there, but if you put it amongst them, there's only one way people will do is, eat it.
Yeah.
And because I knew the food is very light, it's healthy, it's vegetables. If you're vegetarian, you're in heaven. So if you are vegan, and if you like your meat, there's meat. It's a huge variety, and no one's done it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say no one's done it. It was there. There was the likes of Marouche, who I think they're amazing operators. They're doing a great job, but they're focusing a lot on Edgware Road, on the Middle Eastern and Asian market. But I wanted to open it up for everybody. I don't think it will be a room for us to do it the same as just to keep it with Middle Eastern, and we opened it up for everybody. And but I also wanted to do it in a way for a student, a teacher, a nurse, a doctor, an architect, a secretary, an office worker, a postman, everybody, families, kids, mothers, but especially mothers and family, because I always believe, I want to make it very female friendly.
Yeah.
Because for me, I always, I'm the old, one of, from the school of, it's all about the woman and the mothers.
Yeah.
There's an old African saying says, teach a man, you teach a person, teach a woman, you teach a nation. I wanted the woman to know about our food, to understand our food. Because for me, it's not just about the restaurant. I also wanted people to be able, I wanted to bring Lebanese and Middle Eastern food, not just in a restaurant. I wanted also to bring them in homes, in kitchens.
Yeah.
And I think this is what it's all about. I wanted to be humble, inviting, colorful, fun, authentic. And that's what I wanted to create.
So how many sites did you get to before you decided to go and list it on AIM?
It wasn't that many, actually. It was about 15.
That's still quite a lot considering, because I think for a chain, I think that's very good. And so the reason for listing it on the AIM market, was that mostly just to grow it, to help?
No, to be honest, look, we were very ambitious. My business partner and I, Shaker Hanna, we always had this ambition he joined me 10 years ago in 2010. I only had 4 restaurants at the time. Shaker is super experienced restaurant guy. I knew I needed to grow, but I couldn't do it on my own. And Shaker had that experience to help me take it to the next level. And we started working together around 2010. And we looked at different options. We wanted to grow. At the time, we were growing slowly. When Shaker came, joined me, I had 5 restaurants. Straight away, when he came, we closed, I think, 1 restaurant because he wasn't making money. And we sold another one. And then slowly we're growing again together. And then we wanted to expand. The bank was supporting us at the time. We have an amazing bank manager, Nicholas Calamares, I say, because it was an amazing support to us. It was, I think, with the RBS. And then we wanted to grow much more because the opportunities were there. Mm-hmm. So we were deciding between a VC, high net worth individual. And we had some friends of mine says, guys, I think the best way to do it, keeping exactly the same spirits and the same culture of how we're running, is if you go public.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we decided public is much better. Mm-hmm. It doesn't affect our relationship with the team. And otherwise, if you go VC, they will control the whole thing. And it's not about the control. That's not the problem. No. It's about not letting you focus on what you should focus on, which is our customers. We have some amazing investors that joined and that invested on us, believed in us. It's a huge responsibility. And unfortunately, obviously, or luckily, we floated 2 days before Brexit. Mm-hmm. And nobody see Brexit happening. But now, obviously, we're still expanding from 15 restaurants. We had 31 restaurants 3 years later. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing decision.
So, and I read somewhere that your ambitions for Comptoir Libanais, well, not just Comptoir Libanais, but is to get everybody eating Lebanese food. You want it to be respected, just like Italian food and French food and so on, and maybe even Greek food to some degree. But the one thing that impressed me really is that you don't have to do a lot of menu development to appeal to, like you say, the vegans, the vegetarians, the meat eaters. It's already there, isn't it? It all works.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the way I'd say it, at the moment, there's a lot of cuisines that are eaten daily around the world. But I think the ones that is eaten the most is Italian food. Mm. And I think Lebanese food is different to Italian food, but it's the same spirit.
Similar, yeah.
Similar. There's a lot of similarities, but what I want to do, I want one day, I hope I can help make Lebanese food become as popular as Italian food. When I said help, because it's not just me. There's every other restaurateurs, whether in London, in the UK, in the world, is that what we're trying to achieve. It's people to eat it on a daily basis. Eat it in the restaurant, to eat it at home, to eat it, to have a picnic, to eat it on the planes, to eat it everywhere else. But you're right. You don't need to go out of your way to do menu development to feed a vegan or vegetarian.
It's already done.
60%, if not more, of the food, or 70%, is vegetarian.
Yeah.
The choice is so huge.
Yeah.
And you're still left with so many meat dishes, fish dishes, and chicken dishes. But the vegetarian and the vegan, they're spoiled. So Lebanese food fits in a lot of criteria. It's healthy, it's simple, it's quick, it's authentic. It's people that, nowadays they discovered sharing food. Sharing food in our culture exists for 1 million years.
Yeah.
So it fits in many, they call them trend. I don't like to use that word trend because for me, the word trend comes
It goes.
and goes. For me, I like to think this food and our food and culture has been called for thousands of years. All of a sudden, just been discovered by people.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a no-brainer. It's there.
Yeah.
It's there to be discovered. It's there to be enjoyed, and it's here to stay.
So one question, and I had this after our last podcast, is that you said you dislike being a chain. And is that because there's certain challenges that come with being a chain, do you think?
I think that's my perception. I think with the moment you call it chain, that people look at you and say, there's no passion, there's no love, it's cut and paste, and it just becomes a business. For me, not just for me, for my business partner, for our team, for me, I see it as my life. This is not my business, this is my life. That's all I know how to do. If you take me out of our restaurant, it's like a fish in the desert. I would not survive.
Yeah.
That's all I know. So therefore, for me, I still get excited every time I open a restaurant, as if it's my first restaurant, my only restaurant. It's not just me, our team. We all get together, we celebrate, work. When I say celebrate, it's not just like, well, we've done it. No, it's we work towards making it a very special place. Each restaurant has to feel different, special. And we are acting like a grandparents and the uncles and aunts. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Because the manager and the head chef, it's their home, it's their restaurant.
You're almost nurturing them.
We nurture them, we help them, and we want people to, when they walk, our guests, when they walk in there, they feel they walk into a house. We want them to feel that the moment they walk into a restaurant, they see the passion of our passion in there. We want them to feel that the owner is still an operator. The owner is still hands-on. The owner, you can see, you can just feel the soul in the place.
Yeah.
That it's small details. And it's not just the service or the design, but it's the attitude of the team. We want people to feel like they walk into a neighborhood restaurant. Because that is, for me, that's what the word chain, it makes us like we're growing, we want to be, we're not that big actually. We're just, in comparison to other people, there's a handful of restaurants.
Yeah.
We're still fighting hard to keep that spirit of a family spirit with the team work together and the guests feel they walk in someone's home.
So you've got 37 sites now. So is it difficult? 37, did we say? Or?
It will be by the end of the year.
So 37 sites, one in Netherlands. How do you make them still feel unique?
Okay. In many ways. Before you start, obviously you have a team, amazing team with the right attitude, an amazing personality, that you could see it friendly, eager to work, eager to help. And then we worked on the design, and then you work on the food. And then you work with them to make sure when the people, when our guests come through the door, they feel they're working somewhere. And you have to work closely with the people all the time. It's not you open a restaurant and that's it. It's like, it's no different to a grandmother or a mother seeing her kids growing up, getting married. That you don't cut. You're still there involved in their life on a daily basis. That's exactly what it is. You have to talk to them all the time. You have to work with them. You have to deal with them. You have to support them. And that's how it is. You have to work with them all the time.
It's a lot of responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know what? It depends what you call lot. If you love what you do, you really, really love what you do, of course, there's responsibility in anything you do. But you don't see it as a negative thing. No. You see it as a positive thing.
Of course. And how many employees do you have now between all the companies?
We have over 1,000 people working with us. And they are, I don't know, just people use that word loosely, but they are like family to us. They are like family to me. They're like brothers and sisters. And I feel guilty. Sometimes the place out of town, I don't go as often as I love to do. And whenever I go there, especially when there's someone new, they will get excited to meet me. It's like they met the grandfather or the grandmother. Yeah. They don't see so often. And we have an amazing team. Of course, I have a fantastic business partner who is super experienced. He works together with our CEO, which is Conrad, and the finance team and executive chef. They work together on different things, and I work on also in parallel on the design, the vision, the social media, the marketing. Is to get for people to see us. Yeah. We still, as this restaurant that is only have one or two restaurants, humble, hungry to succeed. You know what? I know I'm talking to you now, but I'm talking on behalf of the team. Yeah. It's not a one-man show. It's not. In fact, there's no such thing as a one-man show. There's always a team behind it. Whatever business you see, whatever success is, it's if you talk to to the person to ask for questions, but here this person talks on behalf of the team because it is the team that will help you become who you are.
So you're a spokesperson, really.
Well, I can say that, or the grandmother, or the grandmother of an Arabic household. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. If I'm here, I just share what we do. And I speak it on behalf of all our team. And because, you know what? They are the reason of our success. Yeah. Because they're the one who work hard day in, day out to make it work.
Of course. And here's a serious question. How are you and your team dealing with the issues that are hitting casual dining at the moment, which is, increased rates, increased rent, and obviously increased food prices? So, there's a bit of a double whammy at the moment. Well, every whammy. How do you deal with that? What's your? You can't probably give your whole plan, but what are your sort of things you're dealing with?
Look, of course, we all know there's Brexit. I'm not a politician. I don't want to get into that. Of course, there's a knock-on effect that came with it. There's the customers' confidence is not there as much. No many new projects are not happening because of that. There is an element of the pound is weaker, so it affects the food costs on top of the usual price increase, the food and drinks cost. You have the rents. Unfortunately, are not getting any lower. The great locations are only getting, the rent is still getting higher. There is an element of service charge for big locations, and there's the rates. The government are not making it any easy. No. And I read so many articles and watch so many documentaries about high streets are becoming ghost cities. I think Mike Ashley he knows what he's talking about. Yeah. He gets it. He just says the high street is in the bottom of a swimming pool. It's I listen to his interviews very carefully. I think, because we are in the same business.
Yeah.
He's in retail. We are in food. We work hand in hand. We need each other. And I read, I keep seeing what Mike Ashley is doing at the moment. He understands the high streets, and he knows what's killing the high street, which is obviously it's the online business. Because now people's behavior is changing. Millennials, they can shop from home. They don't have to go out. They can eat at home through third-party delivery, Deliveroo or Uber. So the people is heavier. We're fighting something very, something very challenging. This is for everybody. However, the advantage we have, the slight advantage we have, because the VAT is the same, the rent is the same, the wage cost is the same for everybody. The advantage we have, or one of the small advantages we have, is that we are different from everyone else. We're offering a kind of food that is such a huge repertoire. It can cover a lot of things. If someone wants a pizza, we don't have a pizza. We have flatbreads, menusha, which is an authentic Lebanese dish. We have kofta, which is like a burger, which is like, it's very as Lebanese as it can get. We have salads, we have dips, so what we do is different. So that is an advantage we have from everyone else. And we're pushing as much as possible. And we're very lucky. We're not another burger joint, another sushi, pizza, pasta, which everybody's fighting for.
Because there's a lot of competition in the same foods.
Unbelievable. Every time I see some people wanting to call me for advice and ideas, and I see here's another coffee ideas, here's another burger idea, but it's exactly the same.
Now's not a bad time to be unique.
You're absolutely. I don't think you should be unique for sake of being unique, but there is an element. Sadly, we are unique, but I really want other people to do what we do because it will help us grow as a food culture in terms of Lebanese and Middle Eastern food. But you need to be unique. You need to be yourself. You need to be unique. You need to be different. And you need to work much harder nowadays to just, it would never be, the business would never be as good as before.
No.
As before, 5-6 years ago.
And you mentioned that the government don't help. And one way they probably don't help, and it's something that all the food retail and restaurant industry sort of talk about, is VAT. And I think everyone will agree that 20% is too high. What's your thoughts on it?
No, it's a very sensitive subject, to be honest. I mean, the government is government. They decide what we elected them to do, to put the rules. I don't understand. They're under pressure to collect money, but if I give you, for me, it doesn't make sense. If I give you cheese and bread, it's £1. But if I put it for 10 seconds in the grill, it's £1.20. But I think the VAT, of course, it would help the industry immensely. I think, our industry is really going through a lot of pressure, a lot of struggle. They add in more and more pressure to it. I can't remember what's in France at the moment, the VAT, but it's definitely less than 20%.
I know it used to be 12.
At one stage it was 5%. I don't know. I think, of course, anything like this will help our industry or limit the casualties.
Well, especially if it encourages people to go out and have fun and have dinner. You could argue that 20% is a very heavy tax, just for, and I think my argument is that maybe we should tax all food, all of it. So all food out of home. So, if you go to Greggs and buy a cold sandwich, there's still VAT on it. And then you bring down the VAT rate. So there's more people paying into it.
No, I look at it differently, to be very honest, personally. I think if you go to Sainsbury's or Waitrose or Tesco, you spend £100.
Yeah.
For your weekly shopping. There's no VAT, right?
That's right.
But if you go out and spend £100, is VAT.
Yeah.
Technically what you're doing, you make it more expensive to those people, but at the same time, those people that are eating out, they are supporting a whole industry and supporting, people, keeping them at work, people buy, the restaurant buying more food. So in a way, they've been penalized.
Yeah.
Instead of, because this industry is still paying all their taxes, they're keeping the shops open, they're paying their rates, they're paying their the employing people, and all of a sudden you're giving them another huge tax. 20% is a lot. Of course, I'm sure any restaurateur will welcome VAT reduction because it would make a huge difference.
Yeah,
it's not talking about to the restaurants. It's to the benefit to our guests.
Yeah.
Because if I sell a dish at £12, which is, let's say, £10 net is £12.40, that £12, that savings would go straight away to the customer.
Yeah.
To our guests, in order to see them value for money, it's affordable to come back more often. But you know what? Is there a possibility the government that look back and say, "Oh, this industry, let's look after them"? I have no idea.
Well, it's difficult because we have no hospitality minister, no tourism minister. So who do you talk to about it?
It's very unfortunate because they don't believe in that.
Yeah.
But what people forget: close the restaurants, there will be no tourism.
Yeah.
People would not come. They underestimate the contribution our industry does. If you look at how many billions and how many thousands of people we employ, it's because they're not concerned.
Yeah.
If you penalize them whether they are in teachers, in education, or in the health sector, because they're going to get criticized directly, they would do that. But listen, that's I wish they will take our industry a bit more serious because it contributes big time. It contributes to the tourism. It contributes to the economy. But you know what? It's maybe because we need to get together. And
well, that's the problem. There's no group, is there? There's no group going after the government. And actually, at the moment, they're not listening anyway. Give it a few months, and maybe then. But
because everybody is busy.
Yeah.
Running their own business. They don't have time to do that. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's a long-term strategy, and I think, of course, it would be amazing if we are treated as serious as the IT, as the banking, because our thing, if they take us so seriously, it will flourish as an industry even much more.
So, how would you describe hospitality? And then I asked that mostly everybody, but on top of that, how have you maintained hospitality growing a vast business like this? Because I think it's a two-part question for you. Usually it's a one-part question for everybody else. Sorry.
Okay, look, hospitality for me is about having a scenario. You are the host. You are at home. Everyone comes through the door. They are your guests.
Yeah.
Greet them with a big hug, big smile, kiss, look after them, give them good food, good service, and treat them super special. That's how I would say that's what hospitality. And this is, of course, huge in our culture.
Yeah.
Our culture's fundamental is around hospitality. It's about generosity. It's about welcoming them. It's about giving them food, giving them drinks. It doesn't matter. Even when they're full, you just keep giving them.
Feeders.
And when, which we do in our restaurant, when they finish their food, give them something to take home. Because if someone comes to the restaurant, doesn't finish his food, says, "Would you like to take it home?" This is how we see our what's hospitality, is to make people feel special, feel welcome, feel wanted. It's like you haven't seen them for a long time. And of course, you rely on people. And you rely on people that really enjoy their job. It is very much linked to the team.
Yeah.
The team is very important to make sure, it's an experience, to make sure you get the customers, when they walk in there, they feel that they walk in someone's home.
Well, I think I told you earlier when I was setting up, me and some friends went to Comptoir Libanais in Exeter, and it was fantastic. It was really good. The service was bang on. And, you sort of leave and you think, that was good. The staff were brilliant. And, I think we got there when there was a changeover as well. So, like, the person who started serving us, and it was fantastic.
Since we opened Exeter, we have an amazing called Rachel. She's the manager there. She takes so much pride. She's so proud. And she's like, it's her baby. It's her. It's like she's the mother of the house.
Yeah.
She selects the team very carefully, and she makes sure they care about the people, and that's important. And I love hearing this.
Yeah.
And we always give them their feedback because they love to hear that too. And we're only as good as our people. It's simple as that. In any business we do, especially in our industry, because when you go to restaurants, you're not going to watch a football game. You're not going to watch a boxing game to see drama. You're there to relax.
Of course.
You're there to feel like you are being welcomed in someone's home, treated with love and affection and generosity. And that's very important. You don't want someone to you go into a restaurant for a special occasion and your experience gets spoiled because of bad service or bad food or whatever. So this is what I call it hospitality.
Yeah.
And our team is there to make sure they help you celebrate. Usually people, when they go there, it's either celebrate or it's what it's all about. It brings people together. And that's what we like to do. We like when you walk into a restaurant, especially with our style of food, it's a lot of sharing, and there's no protocol how you eat.
Yeah.
You just put all the food together and you just share, and you use your hands and use your fingers, and that's how we like to put to make sure our hospitality.
It's a very what's the word? It's a very communal way of eating. It's the food's in the middle. Everyone just talks and eats, and it's
real.
Yeah,
it's like you're at home.
Yeah.
It's authentic. It's genuine. It's not. I have my plate. You have your plate. Don't touch mine. I don't touch yours. Everything is in the middle. I remember as a young kid, when we used to have celebrations, and when we have a wedding or any celebration, as a kids we used to sit together and the parents sit together. We used to have this mini table, small table with small chairs. They used to have huge wooden platters and they put like some couscous on them and some sauce, and it's huge, and they put spoons on them and we all eat from the same one. Or the same thing for the parents as well. I miss that. It's like, how close can you get to someone?
Yeah.
It's a meeting from the same plate, and all you do is spoons, and you share. There's no fork, there's no knife, just spoon. You share. Imagine 10, 15 spoons on a big platter, and we all eat together. I think for me that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I miss eating like this.
So what advice would you give anybody getting into the food industry like this? Food, retail, restaurant?
Look, advice is a bit difficult for me to give because I share my experience. I share what worked for me. Mistakes will always be made. It doesn't matter at what stage of your career. It doesn't matter how old you are. But we learn with mistakes because there's a lot of things. If you always want to do something new, there's a lot of trial and error. You don't, if you want to do something different than you can try something, and because it's new, you don't know if it's the right way or the wrong way, or you need to improve. So mistakes are important because it's through mistakes you become better and stronger. Also for me, hard work will always pay off, can always pay off. There is a downside. For me, there's a lot of sacrifice. It's not an overnight return, not an overnight success. It took me 30 years to become to where I am today. Well, I would say 48, but 30 years since I was in London. But I still feel I'm still at the bottom. I still feel I have still a long way to go. It depends how people see each other. I still have a long way to go. I still feel like I just started. Hard work is very important. Sacrifice is also very important. Learn. Don't be afraid of learning. Obviously, today we have social media. It's very easy to do your research, always see what other people are doing. I'm not necessarily saying copying because that's you become very lazy. You're not learning. Get inspiration. See what other people are doing, but try to be yourself. Talk to as many people. Get mentors if you have the opportunity to. But work hard. Work super hard.
And who has been the biggest inspiration to you personally and in business? And this is the last question.
Okay. Personally, my mum and dad, without a doubt. My mum and dad, they are the first people that I loved. And they are still the first people I still love. Unfortunately, my dad is not with us anymore. However, I'm sure he's still up there looking down. My mom, because obviously all the support she gave me, the parents are proud of you. Parents sacrifice so much for you. Parents are always people that are behind you, proud of you. There isn't anyone that wants your success as much as any parents. And because of that, I want to do everything to make them proud. All the sacrifice they've done, because people underestimate the sacrifice parents do. And because of the sacrifice they do, because they put the moment they have kids, or my parents or any parents, all they think about is their kids. So for me, it's as much as what I'm doing is like, I'm trying to pay my mother and my dad back to say, this is what you've done. I am the result of what you did. So my parents had a huge inspiration. And on business, and this is a funny one, is Alex Ferguson. Sorry, Alex Ferguson, because I know people don't see football as a business. Whether you like it or not, it's of course it's still a business. And for me, someone like Alex Ferguson, I just think is just a genius. Whether it's football, whether it's any business, a team is a team. You need to get the best out of a team.
Yeah.
Alex Ferguson knows how to get talent. He gets the best of the best and get the best out of the best of the best. So he is, for me, he is a mentor to his players, to his team. He is a father. He is their coach. He does everything for them.
Yeah.
The guy is super clever because what he does, he tries to get the best people. They're very young usually. He's in his 70s. The players are the 18, 19, 20. He knows how to deal with them on the same level. Because usually a 70-year-old is completely disconnected from a 20-year-old.
Of course, yes.
But he knew how to get the best out of them. He knew how to make them... You know how to mature them very quickly, to make them very responsible, and he always trying to get them settled. He always encourages his players to get married younger, because he knows when they get married younger, they become
more responsible,
settle down, and they focus more on their work. And he knows when someone makes mistakes, he still knows how to tell him off, but at the same time, by telling him off, he gets the best out of him. So I've learned so much from just watching him, what he did with the team. And, he knew how to deal with young players that are immature, that play in that prima donna. He knew how to handle them. And it's the same, it's like any business. When you have talented people, they're still, difficult to handle. They're high maintenance in terms of handling. You know how to get the best out of them. And I think for me, that's for that reason. When Man United, unfortunately, when he left, it's like any CEO leaving a business. And if you don't get the right replacement, everything has been building for 20 years is gone. I think that's, I would love to have him talk to our team, his experience, but unfortunately, I don't think I can afford Alex Ferguson. If he hears this interview, please.
I'll put a word in.
Please.
Well, look, Tony, on that note, it's been great talking to you. And thanks for doing this a second time. And maybe one day we'll talk about something else for a third time.
Stelios, it was a pleasure. Let's talk about part 3 very soon.
Definitely.
Thank you very much for
soon.
listening. Thank you.
Bye. Hey everyone, hope you really enjoyed episode 13 with Tony Kitous. I thought his story was pretty inspirational. The next episode is the first of many roundtable discussions. The first one is with Andrew Crook and Mark Petru, and we're going to be discussing all of those questions that were sent in to us on all the social media platforms. This will hopefully be the first of many roundtable discussions. We are hoping you're liking the Ceres podcast. If you could do us a favour and subscribe, that way it comes straight to your device. And whilst you're there, if you could share it with all your friends. Thank you very much.